Shalom to the elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rekah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, rule well, who teach well. And a sincere salutation to all the Ark, pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, waking up the hope for the elect. Shalom to the Akbar for our listening and learning. I'm Isaiah, coming at you another lesson of truth, facts, faith, and edification. And this is a news update, right, on what's really going on, because you don't get the truth in your local news or even from CNN or Fox. So this is an economic collapse, an economic collapse of Babylon the Great, North America. Virgin Daughter Babylon, better known as Virgin Daughter Babylon, Mystery Babylon. This is updates on the economy and the economic collapse of Babylon the Great in North America. So Lord's willing to be edifying.
Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting. Here's Gerald Salenti with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Salenti. It's Wednesday, August 14th, 2019, a day that will live in economic infamy. The warning signs are there. The Greatest Depression has begun.
Facts.
But let's take a look at the markets. Here's the headline from the Financial Times today relative to yesterday's markets. U.S. delay on China consumer goods tariffs sparks relief rally in equities. Oh yeah, relief rally. You know what that was. Bullshit. You got it. Bullshit. They always use this trade war baloney. As I've been saying, that's all it is. It's bigger than that. Dow tanks 800 points in worst day of 2019 after bond market sends recession warnings. It's not a recession warning. It's the Greatest Depression warning. They're all way behind the curve on this. Don't believe me? How about looking at the print? Here is your March Trends Journal, 2019. Dun, da, 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 the Greatest Depression. All the facts are there. Why we're going in that direction. From CNBC, stocks plunged 800 points Wednesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, worst performance of 2019 after the bond market flashed a troubling signal about the U.S. economy. Investors worried about the state of the economy rushed to long-term safe haven assets, pushing the yield of the benchmark 30-year Treasury bond to a new record low on Wednesday. Today. That's why people are going into gold. That's why you have the gold bull run, and it's running. Gold is up 20% since I called the beginning of the gold bull run. Bank stocks led the decline as it gets tougher for the group to make a profit lending money in such an environment. Bank of America and Citigroup fell 4.6% and 5.3% respectively, while JP Morgan dropped 4.2%. The financial sector dipped into correction territory, down more than 10% from a recent high. We're looking at negative yields, negative rates. This is unprecedented. Where you got a bunch of negative clowns running the show. You got the dirty, filthy, rotten scum banksters that are destroying the world in front of us. We gotta keep pumping in that monetary methadone to keep the bull running so the hedge funds could get bigger and the private equity groups could steal and buy more. And the gamblers on Wall Street could gamble more. and the multinationals could grow bigger. We need more cheap dough. It's not working.
It's not working.
There have been 5 inversions of the 2-year and 10-year yields since 1978 and were all precursors to a recession. But they say there's a significant lag. Oh, that's right. We're hearing from Credit Suisse. Oh, they're in trouble too, aren't they? Only 30,000 banking jobs ripped out of the system since April, and more to come. Yep. A recession occurred on average 22 months after the inversion, Credit Suisse shows. You know what that is? Bullshit. You got it. Bullshit. The recession.
See, everything about Esau Edom is being revealed, man. It made manifest. Okay? When you read Isaiah 25:7, it reads, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast of all people. Okay? To let you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans know that you ain't heathens, right? You ain't Africans, you ain't Dominicans, you ain't Puerto Ricans, you ain't Spanish-speaking tribes, and we ain't African-American, Negroes, Jamaicans, and Haitians. We are the children of Israel. So the Lord said he will destroy in this mountain, which is the mountain, the government of Esau, the rulership of Esau Edom, the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. So everything is going to be revealed, man. And the truth about how the economy is collapsing and they can never make America great again. Okay, all these things is being ripped out from under them, man. The Lord said he will make Esau better.
Is already underway. The Great Depression has begun. Hey, and Trump, boy, he doesn't like what's going on. He's going after the feds. Spread his way too much,
which he can't do because he's just a puppet for the elites, man. Okay, he's just a puppet, man. Everybody that work in the government, they are only puppets, man, for the elites.
Other countries say thank you to clueless Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve. Germany and many others are playing the game. Crazy inverted yield curve. We should easily be reaping big rewards and gains, but the Fed is holding us back. We will win. Guess what? You will lose, Gutson. It's over. Game over. Fight's on. Oh, they're going to pump this up. It's going to go up for a while. We aren't going to win. They are going to win. The we he's talking about are the we that they gave all the money back to in the we's tax cuts. Yeah, you remember the we's tax cuts when they beat all over us with their trickle-down theory? Shares of Macy's tanked more than 13% to their lowest level in a decade after the retailer posted second quarter earnings. It's going to get a lot worse. Retail, real estate. These are the sectors that are going to get really depressed when the greatest depression is finally recognized. And there's a lot more going down, but there's opportunities to go up, and we're going to bring them to you.
It's a lot going down. Hey, and on top of that, man, you got the lesson I did last week. Keep bringing this up. 17 countries is going without water, right? Their water is running out, including Los Angeles and New Mexico. The sun is scorching the earth, drying up the crops. So it's a food shortage. These are facts, okay? So everything is coming together, man. The mark of the beast getting pushed heavy. You got uproars of the people. They're trying to take away the guns, right? So they can bring in martial law. All these things is happening, man. So the Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah got a heavy spirit in the earth right now. And Jake don't even understand what's going on, man. Going on,
China's industrial output slowed in July from a year earlier. It was only its weakest number in 17 years.
Wow.
Germany's negative GDP print, which raised the risk of Europe's largest economy, is on the verge of falling into recession. Oh, it's wonderful in Italy. Let's go to Greece. Yeah, the whole place is going down. And cheap dough, quantitative easing, ain't going to work. Oil prices sank nearly 4%, Brent crude. You know why? Because they're not buying the stuff, and they're producing more than you need. Here's a Financial Times story for you. Investors go through looking glass world of negative yields. I've talked about this before. We're going to keep talking about it again because it's unprecedented. Bonds worth $13 trillion, about a quarter of the debt issued by governments and companies around the world, are currently trading with negative yields. That means prices are so high that investors are certain to get back less than they paid via interest and principal if they hold the bond to maturity. They are, in effect, paying someone to look after their money. The spread of negative yielding debt has raised profound question about the extraordinary lengths central bankers have gone to in a bid to revive the economy over the past decade. In a bid to revive the economy over the past decade, which they have not. They've only enriched the filthy rich, the Buffetts, the Bezos, the Gates, and all of the other rest, the 27, according to the Oxfam report, that have more dough than half the world's population.
The facts. You talking about the elites. The head 13 founders,
Yep.
the 27, he said.
Switzerland. Their rates are now a minus 0.75. Nothing to do with trade wars. Want some other facts? Here we go. Indian passenger vehicle sales suffer 31% fall in July. That's right. Indian vehicle sales slumped last month as an intensifying economic slowdown drags what was considered one of the most promising car markets through one of its worst slumps. It was the worst month in a dismal spell during which sales fell 20% or more for 4 consecutive months. Sales have failed to increase for more than a year. And GDP growth, it's at a 5-year low. So, what are they going to do? Is the Fed going to lower interest rates? More push from Trump? Well, consumer price rise fuels Fed debate on interest rates. Well,
now he just said it, man. If they gonna lower interest rates, hey, let's hear it, man.
Quarters of RT America in our nation's capital. Hello again, everybody.
Matter of fact, let me go up a little bit.
Confusing. Remember, this is the News with Rick Sanchez, where we specialize in clarity and depth and passion for the stories that we tell. So let's get on to it, eh? Let's begin with Europe. So here, let me try and help you understand this. About 5 or 6 years ago, they lowered interest rates over there to about 0. They said at the time that it was just going to be to give Europe a shot in the arm, just temporary. Guess what? It wasn't, and it didn't work. 5 to 6 years later, European Central Bank still hasn't achieved its goals, and it's actually now thinking, get this, it's actually now thinking about pushing down interest rates even further, below 0. Below 0. If that sounds crazy, it's because it is crazy. It's called negative interest rates. And you know what 0 or negative interest rates do to an economy, any economy? Banks get weaker, dying companies stay on life support longer, saving becomes, well, not worth doing. Who's going to save if you're only going to get a half a point on your savings? And corporate debt goes through the roof. Everybody's borrowing. Money's almost free, right? So why am I telling you this? Because here in the United States, our government is now taking the same path, it seems, as Europe has taken.
Facts.
The Fed is talking about lowering interest rates. Now, why in the world would you lower interest rates during a vibrant economy? Unless it's simply not true that the economy is vibrant.
America will never be
See,
great
we're
again.
told here almost on a daily basis that our economy has never been better.
Right.
Is that true? Time for some facts. Are you ready? Yes, the stock market is rallying. But that's because investors are giddy. You would be too if you were told the Federal Reserve is going to be cutting interest rates again. Of course they're going to invest. And yes, most Americans today watching, CNN, Fox, and normal cable news channels are buying into the, quote, "We have the greatest economy in the world."
Right.
That's the line, right?
That's the line.
But you know who's not buying that line? The actual people who run American businesses.
Hey, the elect ain't buying it. Okay, we know the truth. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 10. It reads, "Say not thou, what is the cause that the former days were better than these?" There go your Trump making America great again speech right here, man. In the scriptures, man. Again, Ecclesiastes 7:10. "Say not thou, what is the cause that the former days were better than these?" What Trump talking about making America great again? What he's saying, the former day were better than these? No, man. Okay? Like Solomon said, man, it's better than the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, man. Okay? We trying to get out of here. But Esau and them trying to reverse it back to the 20s and 30s and the 40s and 50s, man. Okay? When it was what? All white only pies, man. Okay? All white only pies. But now we got Israelite pies, man. Ecclesiastes 7:10. "Say not thou, what is it called that the former days were better than these? For thou doeth not inquire wisely concerning this." The Lord said, you don't even inquire why these Edomites is talking about making America great again. Jake don't even inquire these things, man. Okay? But the elect do, man. We know. Like 2 Corinthians 2:11 say, man, we are not ignorant of Satan's devices.
See, this is important. Let me share with you some of the numbers that have just come out. This is a Duke University survey of CFOs, Chief Financial Officers. These are the guys who run the numbers, right? These are the chief financial officers all over the United States. It found that 69% of them, almost 70% of them, expect a recession by the end of this year. 69% of CFOs in the United States expect a recession by sometime, pardon me, I misspoke, next year.
Right.
I said this year. Nope. Next year is what the finding is. Here's another one. JP Morgan Chase's Economic Monitor is putting the chance of a recession next year at 45%. And by the way, that's up from 20% from when they did the same study last year. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and break this down for you even further. Because this is the kind of stuff that affects all of us. You and me and our kids and our parents and everybody else. This is the news with Rick Sanchez, where we remain committed to the notion that, yep.
See, hey, it's popping off, man. Here go another one.
Joins us, CEO at Euro Pacific Capital. Peter, we've covered just about.
Let me read it back.
CEO at Euro Pacific Capital. Peter, we've covered just about, or tried to, on a day the Dow's down 800, every angle here, from bond market bubbles to whether a recession is coming, to what the presidents are doing, the Fed, and what have you. But I know, as you always do, you'll add a different and unique perspective. So what's the Peter Schiff take on today?
Yeah, well, first of all, you have to understand that everything that the Federal Reserve has done since the 2008 financial crisis was a mistake. And all they did was succeed in making all the problems that caused that crisis worse. Now, they covered it up by inflating an even bigger bubble than
Right.
the one that popped in 08. But by trying to normalize interest rates, by trying to shrink their balance sheet, they pricked that bubble. And now we're going to complete the economic crisis that they interrupted in 2008, except the back half is going to be much worse than the front half.
In what way? So what do you think, or what do you predict is going to happen next?
Well, we're headed for a recession. It's going to be worse than '08. The Fed is going back to zero. They're going to do QE again. It's going to be bigger than the first three rounds combined, but it's not going to work. The Fed is done inflating asset bubbles. All the inflation is going to go to the supermarket and the gas station. It's not going to go into the stock market. The dollar's going to go through the floor. It's going to take the bond market with it. And the next crisis is not subprime mortgages. It's going to be in the treasury market. It's going to be a sovereign debt and a currency crisis. And this is going to be an inflationary recession. There is no way out. And it's political disaster for Trump because the recession is going to start before he finishes this term, which means he won't have a second term. But the worst part of the recession is going to take place on the watch of the next president.
How do we get there from here?
Is this
There's so
Bill Maher?
much capital. Is it Bill Maher? Is that what you said?
That's what he said.
Peter, how do we get there, Peter, from here? In other words, if there's so many problems around the world, which we know that there are, and the capital, because of that, is flowing into the United States for the time being, that supports our currency, right? And money's coming into Treasury. So how does that all unravel? I mean, what happens?
Yeah, that capital is going to flee because, see, people have made the mistake. See, initially, everybody believed the Fed was going to be able to normalize rates and shrink their balance sheet. And I knew they couldn't do that. And the Fed finally aborted the process. But the market still believed that, we somehow got a better economy, that our rates are going to be higher, that we're going to avoid recession. But when they realized that that's not true, when the Fed slashes rates by a lot more than people think, they're going to flee from the dollar, especially when inflation continues to rise, even the way the government measures it. As we move into this recession,
right,
consumer prices are going to rise even faster. And once the dollar starts to fall, that's going to push consumer prices up even more.
So how do you explain the fact that we haven't seen stagflation? How do you explain the fact, though, that we really haven't seen, despite so many predictions that are similar to that we would by now have seen some actual inflation more than what we've seen in government data, that it hasn't been more than it is? How do you explain, how?
Well, first of all, yesterday we got the first back-to-back 0.3% gain
in the
core CPI since 2001. But a lot of the inflation that the Fed created originally showed up in asset prices, stocks, real estate bonds, other things like that. But that inflation is going to move from asset prices to goods prices, especially as confidence in the dollar and the U.S. economy is lost, and when the markets start pricing in a Trump loss. Because right now, everybody thinks that Trump victory is a sure thing. Just like nobody believed he could win in 2016, everybody thinks he can't lose in 2020.
Meaning everybody, you mean investors. I mean, the polls, so I'm not sure if 100% of everybody thinks, but you think there's an investment.
They're showing you all these things that's collapsing, man.
That's what you're
Retail,
saying.
technology.
Nobody thought he could win.
Right. Gas. Everything is collapsing, man.
I was one of the few people out there that came on television and said, I think he could win. I think people are underestimating his chances. Well, now I think he's going to lose because I think the recession is going to start before the end of his term, and it's going to be blamed on him. George Bush was able to get reelected. The Fed bought Bush a second term after the dot-com bubble popped by successfully inflating a housing bubble. But that bubble popped before Bush got out of Dodge, and that meant McCain had no chance.
Right.
And we elected Obama. Well, this time, the Fed is not going to be able to inflate another bubble to save Trump. It's going to blow up on his first term, and the Democrat who follows him will be a socialist and will be much worse for the economy than was Obama.
So the market will try to price that in. Right. Well, and the market will, your point is the market will try to price that in if you're right, and then that's bad for risk assets as well. I mean, we'll see. One thing you're definitely right about, the timing of these political events, because, back to George Bush, his father would have loved better timing before the 92 election in terms of how the economy was recovering. Right. Anyway, Peter, thanks.
Hey, man. And there you go, man. Going back to Gerald, man. These things is popping off, man.
Wall Street Journal.
Jake ain't keeping
US
watch.
Consumer prices, including airline tickets and fruit and vegetables, rose last month, adding further fuel to the debate over how vigorously the Federal Reserve loosens monetary policy. You know what this is. Bullshit. It's not going to make any difference. They're going to lower them. Trade war turns U.S. public against China. That's right. They found that 60% of Americans have an unfavorable view of China compared with just 26% who held a positive view. This marked a sharp increase in Americans who view China in a negative light compared with 2018, not too far long ago, when 47% had an unfavorable view of China. About 24% regard China as the greatest threat to the United States in the future, on par with Russia. Do you know who the greatest threat to the United States is? You ready? The United States. The lying little cowards, freaks, and fools that we call politicians. The Washington gang. The central banksters, the federal central banksters, the United States is the greatest threat to the United States. The people running and ruining the show, the liars, cowards, freaks, and fools, the repulsivekins and the democrats, the murderers and thieves, that kill millions, that cost us trillions,
Exactly.
and steal scores of trillions so they could shovel it off to their friends in the name of quantitative easing.
Just let's say they are what? They are murderers and thieves, man. Okay? What John 10:10 say? A thief come not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. That's what Yahweh Shah say in Revelation 11:18 that he's going to destroy them that is destroying the earth, man. They are destroying the earth. These murderers and thieves. And we know who they is.
And too big to fails and bailouts. Anathema to capitalism. Things are getting better. Don't be so negative, Salente. Prices fall in the world's largest cities. Commercial property prices in major cities around the world tumbled in the second quarter amid signs of slowing global growth. Wall Street Journal. Mortgage debt in U.S. hits record, eclipsing 2008 peak.
Wow.
U.S. budget deficit already exceeds last year's total figure. Look at these stupid bastards. Oh, and I gotta be equal, and bitches that are stealing our money, increasing the debt so they raise our taxes from your city to your state to your federal government so they can give their slimy little friends jobs. Imbeciles and morons call them bureaucrats.
Wow.
That's all they're doing. They should, all the nations, all the cities, all the states should be doing everything they can now with the Greatest Depression on the doorstep to cut expenses. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to screw us. They're going to raise our taxes, you watch, in one way or another. Fear of populist return sparks big drop in Argentine currency. Yeah, the currency, the peso, is down about 25% this week. The equity markets are down about 40% this week. Populist? How about they had a freaky little jerk in there that the mainstream business media and all the politicians love? He's a businessman. Macri got so F.U. That's what he did to Argentina. Oh, yeah. Let's see the way they write about this. The unexpectedly strong showing by Mr. Fernandez, who ran against him, whose running mate is former President Christine Kirchner, prompted speculation that market-friendly President Mauricio Macri will lose the election in October. Market-friendly, huh? Yep. High unemployment, inflation of more than 50%, and they're in a deep recession. They're in a depression. But that's the way they write it. Investors are concerned that if Mr. Macri loses the upcoming vote, it could threaten the economic stability that his government has championed. Hey, champion's one thing, winning's another thing. The government that he's running has brought the country into a deep recession, and to go on, and the country's record $56 billion IMF bailout, which Mr. Fernandez has vowed to renegotiate. $56 billion borrowed from the International Mafia Federation. We want our money. You're going to put in what they call austerity measures. You got it? You're going to steal every penny you can from the people and give it to us. Get rid of their benefits and their pensions and bring their retirement age till after they die. You got it? This year's gains for Hong Kong's Hang Seng wiped out amid growing protests. It was going over there in Hong Kong, closed the airport for 2 days. This is big. The market's down now into correction territory. China, this is the Western Bank's Asian hub. They're going to blow it out of there. That's right. Goes back to that about, what about China and the U.S. relationships? Blaming the United States, by the way, for fueling these protests. It's going to get worse. 7 million people in Hong Kong versus 1.4 billion. I'm not good at math, but you can figure that one out. China wins, the people loses. And what else do we have here? Beijing sees early signs of terrorism as protesters close Hong Kong airport.
Uproars of the people, man.
Guatemala poll poses test for U.S. migrant deal. They got a new guy who just won a conservative, and he's not going along with that deal that Trump just signed with the former president that designates Guatemala as a third country or buffer zone to take in migrants trying to reach the United States. Before the election, Mr. Giamatti, that's the guy who won, said, quote, Guatemala is not willing to be a safe third country. If we cannot serve our own, imagine serving strangers. Imagine serving strangers. Human waves, our top trends, one of them for 2019, this is going to accelerate as the Great Depression worsens. The Greatest Depression. Check these numbers out. 59% of the population of Guatemala live in poverty.
This Jakes, all Jakes, man.
That together with violent crime, which killed about 4,500 last year, has prompted many to emigrate.
Hey, the Lord judging, man.
Guatemala.
All
El
Jakes.
Salvador.
Guatemala and El Salvador, all Jakes, man.
Go around the world. South Africa, Sudan, Yemen, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Algeria. People wanting to leave. Get away from the poverty, the corruption.
All places where Esau Edom controls, man. And he's destroying the earth, man.
Anger flares in Kashmir after India moves to avert backlash. India tightens Kashmir security. This is a big one. India decided, hey, we're going to rip up that 1947 deal that basically gave Kashmir autonomy, and we're taking them over. Pakistan says, no, that's ours. And they have a battle going on there for quite some time that's already taken about 50,000 lives over the last decade. You have two nuclear-powered countries now facing each other off in a pending war. And I read to you how India's economy is going down. Pakistan's economy is down and out.
Wow.
When all else fails, they take you to war. Add it up.
Facts.
I've said this before, I'll keep saying it again. Trade wars, currency wars, Greatest Depression, World War. History is repeating itself.
Yes, it is. Thus saith the Lord, man.
Taliban gains weakened U.S. hand in Afghan
That which was shall be
They
again,
got
and
more
there's
land
nothing new under the sun, man.
now than they had since any time since after the United States invaded them. They're controlling more of the country. Here's what Trump said. I want to get out of this crazy wars that we should have never been in, he said late last month. And he's 100% right. But crazy Trump is starting more crazy wars, ramping it up against Iran. Look what he's doing with Venezuela.
He said he shouldn't. Trump said he should have never. He trying to get out of the water should never been in. This is Proverbs 20 and 24. Man's goings are of the Lord, Yahweh. How can a man understand his own way? You can't. Okay? This is the Lord's will. This is Proverbs 21 and 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. Okay? So this is the will of the Lord, man.
Promised to pull those troops out of Syria, but now he's made a deal with Turkey to keep them in there and see what they could work out.
That's the spirit of the
On
Lord,
some
man.
fronts he says it, but by their deeds you shall know them. And his deeds so far on this front have added up to 0. But here's my forecast. Before the 2020 election, peace with Afghanistan and a peace treaty with North Korea. And finally, study blames disturbing rise in teens who need glasses on excessive screen time. You know why they call them handhelds? Because everybody's masturbating in public. That's right. Don't look up, don't look out, don't look anywhere. According to the report released,
Wow.
eye care company Scrivens Opticians, the percentage of 13 to 16-year-olds in the UK who need glasses has nearly doubled over the past 7 years. Researchers theorize that this significant increase in eye problems among young people is likely linked to excessive time spent staring at screens, which can lead to eye strain, short-sightedness, and blurred vision, and a blurred mind. And a word of caution. This is time to prepare, prevail, so you could prosper. We're going to keep providing more and more information on what to do, how to do, what we suggest, and what you should look for. And very important to stay tuned to our Trends in the News broadcast podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you're going to be getting a lot more Trends Journal information from every platform that we can to give you to help you stay ahead of the news, on top of the trends, and seize the opportunities and avoid the dangers. This is Gerald Salenti, and that's some of today's Trends in the News.
Hey, man, the only way you're going to do those things, staying on top, is what? What is it? Putting on the whole armor of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Okay? Isaiah 33 and 6 said, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Nothing else, man. Understanding the times, keeping watch, man. Okay? Understanding the times, man. That's what's going to get salvation. That's what's going to keep you on top, man. Everything else don't matter. But Lord willing to edifying, bringing you the trends, because this guy here, Gerald Salenti, man, him and Peter Schiff, and you got this guy, Ron Paul. These guys keep you up on what's really popping off, man. Okay? What's really going down. And what's going down is Babylon the Great, man. This kingdom is destroyed, man. It's just a matter of time for it fully crumble. And these Edomites are trying to get rid of this dollar so they can bring in an RFID microchip. Okay, that new one world currency, man. So Lord wasn't edifying. They give all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. by Hashem Kakadash. The bonus to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well, who teach well, and the sincere salutation to all the occupants pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire planet, the whole world, waking up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Agwa for our listening and learning. Shalom.